Salute, salute. All righty. Now the way this works, we got we got one of my main martial art brothers, Ian the Dean the Mean.
It's been too
Starting
long,
off
brother.
the
It's been
show
too
with me.
long.
So we got to give a couple of people time to come in the room. This would be a good time to show what you smoking on. Ian done set it off, so I'm smoking a little ooh la la here. I don't know if anybody can see that. Yeah, we got a little ooh la la. What you puffing on there, Mr. Ian?
We got some little bit of these shooters. Here's one
Shooter.
of these some shit that Snoop Dogg co-signed, I think.
Okay.
Uh, Look pretty good. Smell kind of like purple. You know what I
Sounds
mean?
sounds aggressive though. Shooters. It's
Hey,
an aggressive name there. You know,
yeah.
I guess-
Oh shit.
yeah, we lost
Good
you.
job. Where'd I go here?
There we
Nah,
go.
I'm back. I'm back.
We back. Anybody in the building that's down that's watching this show, leave a comment. Let me know who's rocking with us. And me and my homie Ian here, the Dean the Mean, students of Wilson Pitts, Kung Fu Brothers. When I was trying to get my head movement together, Mr. Ian, the Dean the Mean, would come through and throw punches at me, chase me around my studio apartment. Then we sit down for a couple of hours, smoke, and then do it all again. Talk about it, Mr. Ian. Talk about it. Talk about it.
Well, I don't know if we sat for a couple hours. We puffed like a blunt or half a blunt, and then halfway through the conversation, we get into talking about like some concept around the fighting,
Uh-huh.
and then we end up putting the blunt out, and next thing you know, I'm throwing fucking punches at your head with you not throwing any punches back, and like that's the one thing that you did that really upped the game, bro. It's like when you first started it, and you were like, I'm having a hard time making him miss, and then you were like, you know what? I'm just gonna have him throw punches at me without throwing punches back, and you did that, and it was like there was a moment when I was like, oh fuck. It was like the mind of the wolf come out.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? And the way that you think about adapting was interesting because you were putting yourself in the hardest possible circumstances to get comfortable so that
Fact.
you would remain calm under fire. And that
Fact.
shit, you know, to this day,
To this
motherfuckers just
day.
paying for that research. They're paying for it.
To
They're
this
paying for
day.
it with teeth and doctor bills and facial reconstruction.
Who we got? We got David Pollock with a B, sir, 6'9" vibes. The Dean of Mean. That's right. The Ian, the Dean of Mean. When we talk about the Anderson Academy, I don't think they understood where you came from. Talk about how they did it in the Anderson Academy.
Well, all right. When I was about 16, 17, I started at Anderson's. We
Uh-huh.
were going around to schools to see which was like the toughest, you know what I mean? And we were trying to find some shit that would make us like harder, you know? And like with some shitty kung fu schools, they were like, this is lame, they whack. And then we went to Anderson's and dudes was sparring, and I was like, oh, this shit is legit. And I'm watching this dude spar, and this dude gets kicked in the head and gets knocked out. And me and my brother on the side laughing. And he looks over at the dude who's running the class, who I don't know who he is, you know what I'm saying? And he's like, you put on gloves, jump in. Next thing you know, I'm fighting the guy who just knocked this dude out. He fucking kicks me in the head. I couldn't really tell you what happened, but my brother said I stared off into the distance and then hit the floor. And that was the first day. So, you know, we kept coming, you know what I mean? And like then shit got, you know, shit was real back then because dude wasn't really trying to make money. Dude was trying to like make fucking pipe smashing motherfuckers. You know what I mean? Like he was trying to make people who will go in there and fucking win.
Mm-hmm.
And he did, you know, but it was a tough turnaround, you know, like the retention in that martial arts school was almost zero because people would come in, they would get their blood splattered on the ceiling and they would never come back. And I literally saw that happen. Wow. I saw that happen where we had a circle, and you had like a circle and everybody, there's two people fighting in the middle. And most of the time there would be one of the instructors fighting the students in the middle. So it was like a controlled demolition, you know? Mm-hmm. And this one dude, I remember it was like he was a beginner, bro. He didn't even really have the skill sets to defend himself. And I remember he was getting hit with these uppercuts, and I remember the blood was splashing on the ceiling, and I was like, oh shit. And there was another dude who saw that and goes, this isn't martial arts, and walked out of the gym and never came back.
He was the smart man.
Now, maybe, but like, you know, there's some good dudes who came out of there. Like my boy Dwight, who we used to train with, he's got a contract with the UFC right now. He didn't fight Saturday, but he's fought on a couple of undercards, you know, in the last year or two. You know, they got a couple of other Muay Thai champions. Some, you know, their jiu-jitsu wasn't the strongest, but they kept bringing in dudes who were really good, like the world champions from Brazil, to train everybody in jiu-jitsu. So there was a lot of good things about the school, but overall there was some, it gets a little crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, what you believe about that form of training where it's kind of like the 36 chambers and whoever makes it out alive knows what they're doing? Do you think that's a good
question? I think I have a good answer for you.
Go ahead.
The answer is this: you train to achieve results. Now, for some people, you might have the will, you might have the mind, you might lack the technique. So you train the technique, you advance the technique. But what about the man that has the technique but doesn't have the will or the heart? How do you train the will and the heart? You know, so for some people, it's necessary to put them through the fucking blender because they need to progressively build their, you know, their ability to push. So for select circumstances, I think that it works really well. But as a general rule of thumb, what happens is people end up taking too much punishment, develop bad habits. They can't break those habits. They're scared of engaging, like on entries. If you're talking about like meeting force against force, you know what I'm saying? They're overreacting to every feint because they're used to getting hit hard by people that are better than them, which means they don't want to come forward. They've been discouraged from coming forward. It's like a fighter in the ring with Mayweather after Mayweather took away their punch, right? It's like he's counter firing on their jab. So they're timid. They don't want to throw the jab. Every time they throw the jab, they eat a right hand. So that's what's happening to people who are training in these schools where they're taking too much punishment too early, is they're not developing the confidence that's necessary to become a good fighter. You know? So
another question, but do you think heart can be trained though? Because most times it's either you have it or you don't. Now, somebody may have it and not know it, and the hard trainer may bring it
out.
Yeah, but if it's not there, could you train it?
I think maybe yes. I think that training heart is a matter of unifying your intent, right? So it's like half of your intention is to run and escape, right? So if that is what your intention is to not get hurt and not to be there, it's going to be very hard to unify going forward and taking that leap of faith, kind of, you know what I'm saying? But like, how do you get somebody to have more heart? Part of that is building their confidence. You know what I mean? It's like building their experience of hardship. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody who has never been through anything hard doesn't know how to stand back up when they fall.
That's right.
So, you know, can you train heart? Yes, you fucking can. But that person has to go through more suffering than they're willing to. And that suffering is real. That's like, you know, loss, like real loss, like real hardship and hurt, fucking pain. You know what I mean? That makes you fucking dig deep. And, you know, you say, you know what? I've been through worse. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, you can build it. But, you know, most people, you know, will be a lot more successful if they've built that from a young age. You know, their parents, their dad, whatever, they fortified that fucking, you know, like that I'm gonna stand up for myself. I'm not gonna take shit. But heart comes in different forms, you know, like there's some people that don't fight, but they have all the heart in the world, man.
Facts.
You know, like I've met chicks that got a lot of fucking heart, bro. Like I've met, you know, people who've just gone through like real loss, like with death and loved ones and shit like that. And, you know, or people who are facing death themselves, you know what I'm saying? Like that it's not about fighting anybody else. It's about how they interact with their own fears. That's heart, bro.
That's
You know,
true.
so Pete,
That's exactly correct. Well,
so
us having Wilson Pitts as a teacher, and you know how Wilson trains. Why do you believe that some of the other students that I've seen of Wilson's look kind of almost broken, and me, you, and Roberto survived? Talk about it.
I think that it's, you know, with Wilson in particular, he is very, very much alpha, right? So it's
Mhm.
very hard to, you know, he demands submission essentially, right? But at the point when you totally submit, you're not a fighter anymore. It's
Boom!
like,
Oh my God! Hold on! We got a round of applause for that one. Say that again. Damn it, man!
it's,
That was
you
powerful.
know, you know,
Powerful.
a teacher wants to teach you, they want you to submit to their will, their way. You know, people are saying that's not how you do it. You do it like this. You know what I mean? And you're like, fuck yeah, okay, I'm gonna do it like this. But at the point when you think that you don't know anything and they know, you're not a fighter. You've given up. You're just following. You know, you have to
Mm.
believe in yourself in order to do anything in a fight. You know, so
Let
the
me, let me
first
jump
thing
in real fast because Wilson had also said something because me and him had and you two had like a contentious relationship, and he told me, he said, you know, some of the best coaches and coaches and student trainers have disagreements, like so to what you're saying, like the best fighters, there was some agitation between them and their coach. It wasn't like they were straight following their coach. So go on. That I just had to throw that in there because that's so
is
true
true.
what you're
You know,
saying.
like I've been to a lot of different places to learn from a lot of different people.
Uh huh.
And, you know, certain people go and they listen, you know, and certain people go and they take. I'm gonna say that again.
That's right. Say it again.
Certain people go and they listen to everything you say.
Mm-hmm.
Certain people go and they're like, this is what I want to get out of this.
Mm.
You know,
That was
now
my mindset.
based on what you say, I might change and evolve my perspective of what I want to get out of it. Right? Like with Wilson, I might go in thinking like, yeah, I want to learn how to get better at fighting. And then like as we evolve, you know, he's expanding my psychology and my understanding of the gap and the whole of everything. You know what I mean? But at the point when it comes to the fight, I'm the one in the fight. He's not in the fight.
That's right.
I have to make it mine. You
That's
know,
right.
it's not his. I can't take his technique into the ring. I have to take my technique into the ring.
That's right.
So nobody can do that for you except you. So that's what the difference is. Some people are following him, and me, you, and Roberto were like, how can I make this mine?
That was
Does
definitely
that
my
make sense?
mindset. Yes, totally true. Because I came in with a mission, like I want what this man knows, you know,
Hmm.
and I'm
And
prepared to take certain ish to get
and
there.
I would, yeah, you're totally right. You're totally right. We took all sorts of shit to get there.
All sorts.
And but the thing about me and you is when we see somebody like he might tell us this, this, and this, but then when he goes to do it, we're watching and we're looking at all the things he didn't say. We're
Mm,
still learning from him when he's not speaking.
when
We're
he's not
gathering
speaking.
the information by just watching him, bro. Like we watch the way he thinks, we listen to the way he speaks. We're looking at it because we want more from it than what he said. We're looking for a deeper understanding. You know what I mean?
Wow. Hmm. Facts.
Like
Facts. Now compare that to Roberto, Mr.
to Roberto.
Roberto.
Well,
So
Roberto. Well, we didn't really get into the how he breaks people down. You know what I mean? Why the dudes are like broken, but
oh
like
yeah. Finish that off. Finish that off. Yeah.
so like you know, I think that when he gets these guys and he he breaks their spirit, you know what I mean? And it's like then they don't want to be fighters at all. But
but is this alpha purposely or alpha not unconsciously, not even knowing?
I think that it's both.
I think it's both. you think
I think
you think he
I think that
purposely and these are flagrant
I
and
think
inflagrant fouls. That's what you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah, exactly. It's like subconsciously he wouldn't be able to help doing this.
Uh huh.
But I think that consciously he's like, yeah, that's all right, that's good. Like he's like, if these guys get broken, they weren't fighters, right? So it's like, why are they gonna
Don't
pretend?
waste my
Why are they
time
going?
type of stuff.
They're not unified in their intent. They're not fighters. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? They're training martial arts, but there's different methods and reasons to train martial arts. You can train martial arts for longevity. You can train martial arts for, you know, uh, rehabilitation,
Facts.
and you can train martial arts for martial application, right?
Combat.
And even though those people are going over moves that are combat oriented, I would be willing to bet that they're actually training for longevity and, you know, I would call it like spiritual rehabilitation. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because these people are emotionally hurt and damaged, and then they're kind of searching for something that's going to give them confidence.
Yes.
And make them, so that is why they're doing martial arts. They're not doing it so they can fucking take somebody's lunch money. You know what I mean? Like, like I'm trying to take somebody's fucking lunch. You know what I'm saying? Like, you trying to, yeah,
I want
like
lunch and dinner. I want
yeah,
lunch
you know
and
what I'm
dinner.
saying? So shit's different, you know. But I think that's why. It's a long answer, but
no, that's very true. Now, compared to Roberto's style, who he did it with love, how combat effective do you believe Roberto's style is for having to go into combat?
well, I think Roberto helps you understand how to study martial arts.
Good answer.
He doesn't. He's not making you a better fighter. He is, but he isn't. He's not focused on making you a better fighter. He's focused on making you a better human being. Right?
Deep answer.
He's trying to like expand what you know, your understanding of yourself through martial arts. Right? So like the focus is different. The focus is again not just to fuck people up. It's more about sensitivity and understanding your own, you know, center.
Yeah, your center.
Like not like center line. I mean like emotionally.
Center.
You know what I mean? Like
yes. No. I think one of the dopest stories I have of Roberto is I was in child support court, baby mama trying to throw me over the coals. The judges up in there, they're not even looking at me as they take my money. I came out of that joint, I was upset. I went straight to the park. I had to get a workout on. Mr. Roberto was right up in there. I walked up on Mr. Roberto and I'm like, yeah. And he could see it in my face, like, what's wrong? And I was like, man, just left child support, dirty itch. She trying to take everything. And I go into a whole tangent. And he lets me. And then after I stop, he said, if you go up the block, you can get a box of Kotex to go with that story. And I sat there because it took me a minute to register that he was saying I was Padussy. I was acting Padussy because I had to put it together like a box of Kotex to go with my. And then he leaned in and he said, do yourself a favor. Learn how to lose. And it's for your child. And like you said, after that, me and my baby mama was like this. Like, because I put the weapons away. Like, I would no longer engage in the war from the emotional standpoint that's my child. Like, whatever I can give, I'm down to give. Everything died. Everything. It was all beauty. It was all peaches and cream after that. To go.
He made you a better human being.
He makes you a better human being. Give it up for the combination we had, Mr. Roberto and Mr. Wilson Pitts, two of the greatest teachers on the planet. And I'm not just saying me and his teachers. If you met them out there, you would know what I'm talking about. But as we was talking about this show, one thing we wanted to talk about was the misunderstanding of a great book called The 48 Laws of Power. And we decided that we were going to do a show and we're going to break down all of the laws in Burley style. Simply.
That's right.
And to show you that, because there's been a lot of talk that this book is a book of evil. It was written while Satan was sitting on the futon. All types of crazy stuff talk about how bad this book was. that it's a book of manipulation and it only teaches manipulation. But what I got out of it, not only was the information, I also got a history lesson. There was tons of history within that book that I did not know about, that I did not learn in social studies. And
Yeah.
so, and it went with some of the things that I did learn in social studies, but it was way deeper. So this book is built on the history and experience of winners and losers. So I don't know how they could ever say this is a book of manipulation. It's a book of facts. It's a book
Well,
how great people went wrong and right, and how you can adjust yourself to it. Go ahead, Ian, give your breakdown on that.
well, I just had to jump in on the manipulation detail,
Hey,
right? Well, we had a conversation about this the other day,
yes, sir.
and what I said was, it pisses me off when people try to, you know, throw anything under the bus as manipulation, because it's like every form of communication is manipulation,
Say it again.
right?
That's
You're
right.
manipulating the cashier to give you a cup of coffee
That's
by
right.
speaking. That is manipulation,
That's
right?
right.
If I turn my cup of coffee, I'm manipulating it physically. So, like, everything you do in life is still manipulation. So the idea that manipulation is a bad thing is idiotic. You
Mhm.
know, you can, you know, cause good things or bad things, and your intent is, you know, different from the strategy. Does that make sense? Like, you could be having a good intention through this strategy, or you could have a bad intention through this strategy.
That's correct.
And that's really where I have a problem with people's perception of these things, where it's like, oh, like, I can't believe you looking at that. Like, that's like, you just want to take advantage of people. It's like, no, you just want to take advantage of people. I want to help people. You know what I mean? Like, if that's your intention, then that's what you're going to get out of it. But, like, I've watched you help people with it. I remember a story about little old Dave when he was really discouraged. Do you remember this?
Uh-huh. Yes, sir.
Do you
Talk
remember
about
this?
it. Talk
So
about it.
this is probably what, 18 years ago. All
Mm-hmm.
right. And we're training with Roberto, and I don't remember what happened, but Dave was like on the verge of quitting.
He was
You know what
jabbing
I mean?
Dave's face off. He jabbed.
Oh yeah, okay. He got beat up a little bit.
Yeah, he
So,
got beat up.
he he was really like in a dark place, and
Yes.
he was talking to you about quitting, and he was thinking like he was just gonna give it up.
Yes.
And you told him that Roberto said that Dave was his favorite student.
Wilson. Wilson said. I said that.
You said that about Wilson? I thought you said it
Yeah,
about
no, it was
Roberto.
about Wilson. It was about Wilson.
Okay, well, I crossed that part. I crossed
Yeah.
those wires.
Yeah.
My bad. But the intent of this white lie that you sent out was to boost his confidence enough to go back and train. And that
Hold
man
on
was
one
out
second.
there.
Hold on one second. 4 a.m. Would it be 69 vibes? Think the professor. I appreciate all of y'all for being in here. Let's cook. Get back to cooking, Ian. Go and cook. Go ahead back. I gotta say my what's up.
So yeah, basically your intention was to get him to go back to training, and he
That's
did. He
right.
was like the next freaking day, he was out there in the park, like, you know what I'm saying? He was out there like,
You went
Dave
harder.
was he was stiff back then. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, he was not like a fluid dude. You know what I mean?
No,
He
no.
lifted weights. You know what I'm saying? He was
No.
not like, but man, he was out there every day with Roberto,
Yes.
and he got so much better. Like, between that and maybe like 2 or 3 months later, he leveled up like
Yes. Big time.
significantly.
Big
And
time.
you manipulated the fuck out of him,
Yes. Yes.
and it really helped him.
Yes. Yes.
So like,
Yes.
it that in a way is good coaching.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
Well, I think one of the greatest stories of manipulation I heard about Chappie Blackburn. Anybody in this live who don't know who Chappie is, go look up Chappie. He trained Joe Louis, and Joe Louis was going through a phase. He wasn't feeling too good. So one day, Chappie, because Joe would always wake up and hit the bag at like 6 a.m. in the morning. So Chappie ran down at 5:30, took a Brillo pad and scrubbed the area where Joe liked to hit. Scrubbed it nice, thinned it out. Joe came down like 6 in the morning, put the gloves on, started working, hit the bag, it rips open. And then he looks over at Chappie and said, Chappie, I'm hitting real big now. And after that, he went on a knockout spree. This is
Wow.
the placebo. This is the placebo.
I didn't know that one.
Yes. And even it's known to doctors that the placebo effect is how they test medicines. And the placebo effect is real. They'll give you a pill full of water and said, this pill right here, we just flew it in from Germany. It's made by the greatest doctors. If you take this pill, I guarantee in the morning you're going to feel good. People take the pill and feel good. The placebo effect, because they want to feel good. So you start to feel good. A lot of our ailments are definitely built into how we are feeling. We are the only mammals that live in a state of stress 24 hours. I was reading about, like, they was talking about Bambi, the deer that comes to the water, slips some water, and then the crocodile jumps up. The Bambi jumps back. The crocodile just misses him. Jump by an inch. The minute Bambi walks away, she forgets the stress. She doesn't go to the other deer. It's like, yo, guess what happened when I was drinking some water? The crocodile tried to get me. I'm never drinking. It lets it go. It's like it never even happened. It will go back and drink some more water and mess around and get caught this time. It totally lets go of the stress immediately after it happens. We can carry stress like, yo, man, I remember when I was 6 years old, that dude was bullying me. And here you are 36 years old and you're still talking about it. And this is the problem of our ailments. A lot of our ailments are stress related. 95% of them. The rest, yeah, you're doing dumb stuff. You're not eating right. You eating ho-hos and and drinking too many Pepsis. Yes. But 95% of that is how you're feeling. Because they even went to one place, I forgot where it was at, where the men were like womanizers. They smoked cigarettes and drunk liquor all day. Like they did everything wrong. But they were living to 115. And when he figured out, they were really having a good time. Like they really enjoyed drinking that liquor, smoking them cigarettes, sitting with them prostitutes. They enjoyed it. It wasn't killing them. They were actually living longer. So state of mind is the reflection of the body. Hold on, Ishmael Hassan, Baltimore checking in. Yeah, this is a major conversation right here. Share this video, get the likes up, because me and Ian, we about to really get in the deep. Because for everybody here, yeah, this show, we're going to break down the 48 laws of power, give the real simple reasons behind it, not the fake, it's all evil. It's a very good book. It's a Bible of survival. I call that the Bible of survival. You know, it's a Bible, and he goes deeper. We're going to do the other ones too. We got 48 laws of seduction, lock track, no OG liar. Yeah, this is actually, idiot. This is called Buddha beans. He said, one dude said it's fake chains. No, this is called Buddha beans. You take it off, and I can beat fools like you in the head with it. That's why I have it. So for anybody who wants to know, this is Buddha beans. See, I'm always thinking of ways to beat fools like that up. That's just where my mind is at. I'm sorry. But anyway, getting back to the show. Go ahead.
Yo, random detail. Talking about Joe Louis.
Uh-huh.
Did you know that Eddie Futch trained Joe Louis? Did you know that?
Eddie Futch trained Joe Louis?
And Sugar Ray Robinson.
And Sugar Ray Robinson?
And Sugar Ray Robinson. When they were children at the Brewster Athletic League in Philadelphia.
I could believe that. But how old was Eddie Futch when he did that? He must have been younger.
Bro, he must have been way young, Eddie Futch.
Gathering information from Chappie. This is probably where he got a lot of his stuff from, is sitting around Chappie.
Well, I think this might, this was as they were amateur kids. This was when they were little kids. And then I forget, I think Sugar Ray Robinson ended up moving to Harlem, right? And then, but Wilson was saying that way later, they both had similar footwork things.
Okay.
They said actually Futch had Joe Louis as an amateur moving and dancing, but they had to cut all of that out, when he was a professional. They just wanted to become straightforward gunslinging, you know what I mean? But anyway, it's just a random detail that Wilson told me the other day that I was like, what? I was like, that's wild.
you can always get those tidbits of information from Wilson, correction and good stuff. Like no, some of the stuff he talks about, like I think his favorite story to me was what Joe Louis used to say to him when he seen him in the morning. Hey, white boy, they treating you good in here? Because we gentlemen in here. And yo, Wilson must have told me that story 1,000 times. I think he must have forgot. He's already told it to me 999 times before that. But whenever he tells it, he lights up. So I can see that was a very good moment in his life, is when he was in them Philadelphia gyms dealing with Georgie Benton, sitting watching Georgie Benton train. You know what I'm saying? And that's a blessing because that's where our lineage of boxing training comes from. Like, it's Georgie Benton. That's where our teacher sat and studied. He said one day, let me tell you something. Georgie Benton was so aware of his surroundings. He said he had the velvet ropes. He was teaching the class. And he said, I had to pee. And I had to pee bad. He said, but I wasn't about to get up and miss any of this information. So he said he sat there and he said, finally, Georgie Benton turned around and said, go to the bathroom, white boy. We'll wait for you. He said he knew. And he said he ran off to the bathroom, came back, and Georgie Benton waited for him and then restarted the class. Salute to Georgie Benton. Salute to Wilson Pitts. So thank everybody for being here. Let's get into it. We're going to talk about the 48 laws of power. We're going to each give our breakdown of it and how we see it in our own little ways. And we're going to go through as many laws as we can. Of course, we're not going to do all 48 on this show. We'll do maybe 3, 4, and then for the next show we'll have more. And then when we run out, we'll move on to something else like the Art of War, the Book of Five.
I love the Art of War.
Yo, the Book of Five Rings is a dope book. I love the Book of Five Rings. Loves the Art of War. So we got something to break down because Ian right here, the Dean, the Mean, is a true practitioner and study of the art of combat. This man, we met through the art of combat. I was on the train, read my Tai Chi book. I didn't even see him, and he seen me reading the Tai Chi book, and he jumped right on it. Next thing we know, we ended up in the store, both asking for a cigar to blow the trees. And next thing I know, I was in his house. We were smoking, and we've been family ever since. And that's how you know your true family, when you meet them and you have a backstory such as that.
But that type of shit never happened to you at that time. Like that was so out of your character to do anything like just go to some random person's house to
anything like that.
That was so not like you. That was like a fluke. Yeah. And I was like, yo, I don't know what made me be like, yo, let me, you know what I'm saying, go approach this random dude. And like, I was like, yo, I feel like we got some shit in common. I remember saying that shit.
Yes. No,
anyway.
It was all energetic. Like that was all energetic because, as you say, I would have never did that. That was the way I moved. That if anybody who knows me know I'm a very reserved person, and that couldn't have happened with anybody else but you, and that's why we're family. Decades later, we still in the building. Had the same teacher. We done had bang out sparring sessions. Like I say, he chased me around my apartment. This is the man right here that made it very hard for every man after him to put a jab on my forehead because my head movement is sick. Talking about a studio apartment. I took some shots. It wasn't like I just jumped in there. There was a progression of when it was very hard for him to find me. And if you know Ian, let me tell you something about Ian. Ian is not going to be playing games with you. He's going to be trying to hit you. He's not one of those sparring partners that's going to try to throw the punch over your head or make you feel good. No, he is a warrior by nature. Like when it's time, you can see the roll back in the eyes. He's coming and he's going to treat you like any other combatant. So this is the reason why it was so effective for me. Like if you don't have that type of person to move with you, you can develop a false sense of security where you really think you're doing something and you're not. So, I appreciate you, love you to death, Ian, the Dean, the Mean. So let's get in. Law number 1. Never outshine thy master. Now, this is a tricky one right here. Because this is the one that kind of makes people go left. Because when you hear it broken down like that, it sounds very arrogant because they're using the word master. So you're almost thinking yourself as a slave, and you don't really get the full information out of it. So never outshine our master. Ian, break it down. What you got for me?
Well, in a sense, every single person is the master,
Okay.
right?
Oh, boom.
Every single person,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Immediate, right?
Okay.
Like your doorman, your freaking, the Grubhub guy, whoever, you know what I'm saying? It's that's what the law is representing. It's not saying that one person is your master, but by making somebody else look good, there's value in that
Mm-hmm.
because they then depend on you to make them look good, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the that's how people get promoted. That's how
Yeah.
people, you know, become the person that everyone depends on. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're not around, they don't look good. You're the
Mm-hmm.
one making them look good. They
Mm-hmm.
fucking need you, right? The
Mm-hmm.
the inverse of the law, right?
Mm-hmm.
The inverse of the law is really where people have a problem,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is when they do outshine the master,
Uh-huh.
right? Because if you start making people look bad just by being next to them, essentially,
Uh-huh.
then they don't want you around,
That's
right?
right.
That's a simple way to look at it. But in
Mm-hmm.
history, usually when they don't want you around, they cut off your head or
That's right.
they, do worse, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like in situations where people are in life and death situations, when you make people uncomfortable, right? You're outshining somebody. Um, Oftentimes you pay with your life,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? So that's the extreme version. I mean, I'm sure you'll see this in relationships and other things and much more subtle applications.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I'm trying to just make up an example here, but like, you go out with your boys, you know what I'm saying, and you flashing bread and you know what I mean, like doing your thing, and one of your homies is sitting there like, yo, I'm fucking hurting, I'm broke, you know what I'm saying, like I want that, man, what the fuck, you know what I mean, like that's how you get fucking robbed.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So like, when that's like a really simple application, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
when you shine and you make people want what you have, sometimes people will come and try to
So
take what you have.
you're saying like shining at the wrong time, you know.
Shining at the wrong time to the wrong
All
ego,
right.
right? To the wrong person, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like that person feels like they are the master and you are, outshining them.
Yes.
So that's why I say it could be anybody,
Yes. I
you
get
know?
that. My breakdown would be of never outshine that master is that when you're in second place, you need to become the best of second place. Like you need to be the best second. You want to be the best second so you don't become third. And what do I mean by that? Because the natural law of progression is one becomes two, two becomes three. So if you're two and you know one above you, it's best to promote one, the one above you, get, let the praises go to him. Do the work that goes to him because this is soon your spot. It's just like Roberto. I talk about Roberto and Wilson, all the time. Like they're the one. We're the two, but we're soon to be the one. So how you appreciate your standing means a lot to you becoming the general. See, somebody who doesn't appreciate his standing is very dangerous. That's the person who's looking to overtake you, catch you somewhere and really get you out of there. When you're a solid two, you become a solid one because it's the natural law of things. So even in the drug world, if you look at it, if you got a good plug and he's feeding you, anything you need, you come up there, he blessing you. Then you get locked up, and they said, "Who is your plug?" Do you tell on them? That's never outshines our master. The plug is the one. You can do the time, come back home, and still deal with him, and even get more. So the law of outshining our master is really teaching men how to respect the leader, because we all have to be followers at some time. Nobody is born the leader. Leaders were once followers, the greatest ones, and they were great followers. Think about it. The best leaders was the greatest followers. Like followers that slacked off, they didn't become the great leaders. So when I think of never outshine thy master, I think of play your position as two, because you will become the solid one. Just like if you play your position as three, you will become the solid two, and meaning you're moving up the ladder. You're not stagnant at no level. You're constantly moving up with the natural progression of he got next.
I like it.
You know what I'm saying? Because I think, like in this culture right now, everybody's a boss. And that's why this culture is falling apart. There's no workers. Like, I remember I was a worker. Before I had my own spot, I worked for somebody. And it was my own people's, but I worked for somebody. And the problem with everybody being the boss, because then this law doesn't apply. How do you know outshine our master? We are all masters. So the law is phased out with the unrealness of not everybody can be the boss. There has to be some workers, because good workers become very good bosses. Yes, sir. Let's put it out there. We talking about it. Where we at in the comments? Never outshine thy master, but his flaws. Okay. That too. You can also see the flaws in your master and not make them. This is what makes you a solid two. A solid two. Let's move on to the next law. Ian, what we got on the next law? Hold on 1 second.
Never put too much trust in friends, and learn how to use enemies.
This is a very good one. This is a very good one. Let's talk about it. Say it again. Never put too much trust in your friends. Learn how to use enemies. Talk about it. And what I forgot from the last law, also what we're going to do too, is what does the law mean to hand-to-hand combat? See, we want to put that spin on it too, because we fight. So not only are we going to break this down at the end, you got to tell me what the law would mean to someone attacking you, sparring, or fighting. All right. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use your enemies. What does that mean to you, Ian?
Well, I think that a lot of this is kind of self-explanatory to me, but I'll try to articulate it.
Break it down. Now, everybody, break it down.
Everybody around you is trying to take advantage of certain things, and everybody is kind of using each other in relationships, right? Like every exchange is one-sided or two-sided. You're getting something out of it. So, if you are putting too much trust in the person that you're considering your friend blindly, it's likely that you end up getting the crappy end of that deal. You're gonna end up getting exploited, taken advantage of. The rights to your idea might end up being somebody else's company.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things where this happens, right? Where people are like, oh, but I trusted him. He said he got me, like, you know what I mean? And then he didn't pay you. Yeah, that's what happens, right? Because trust and business don't really go together, and trust and friend, anything with friends is the same as business.
So you're saying do business with your enemies is better than?
I'm saying doing business with your enemies is a lot better than doing business with your friends for exactly this reason.
Okay.
Right? Because your enemies, not to trust them. You don't depend on their goodwill to you. You depend on something else. You depend on leverage. You depend on their greed. You depend on whatever your strategy might have been at that time, the way that you were thinking about it. But yeah, absolutely. Like, your trust in your friends is essentially what will get you screwed if it comes to business. And when we're talking about business, that's only one dimensional, right? Because it could be applicable to other elements of your life, right? You're putting too much trust in your friends, and he's banging your wife, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Or whatever, right? There's other there's other applications where putting too much trust in somebody is also detrimental.
Okay.
Right? Like, so, like you said, if you were to apply it to fighting, right? Like, I'm sparring with my friend. You know, do I trust him to not hit me too hard? Like, hell fucking no. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna goddamn move offline. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's like, and then learn how to use enemies. Okay, I have people who don't like me. I love sparring with them. You know what I'm saying? Their intentions are perfect. Come get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get after it. I know they have bad intentions. I want their bad intentions. I want to experience that shit. I want to freaking thrive on it. You know what I mean? Like, so that's a real.
Yeah.
That,
That's it right there. That's it right
that's
there. That's what we talking about. That's what we talk about. Well, I think, like you said, this law is kind of self-explanatory, but is to some people is not, because your enemies are challenging. Like, without, and like, if you don't have enemies, you should go get some, because the problem with friends is comfortability breeds contempt. We're all friends, and it's just the way it is that your friends love you, so they don't want to see you hurt. So your friends will actually probably stop you from leveling up. You'll be like, "Yo, I'm ready to do some crazy ish," and your friends are gonna be like, "No, what? You could die, buddy. Don't do that." So you don't challenge yourself, and that could have been something that raised your awareness, your financial status to the next level. But your friends will keep you in a comfortable zone. Your enemies will not. They will push you out. They will smoke you out the hole. Your enemies will smoke you out the hole, and chances are you needed to come out the hole. See, but your friends will keep you in the hole and say, "Nah, it's safe in here, homie. Stay down. Keep your head low. Don't make that move." It's because of your enemies that you would challenge and push the limits. Like, even 50, when he got shot up, after they hit him with all those bullets, he said, "After that, I figured out we can't control nothing. I'm just going straight ahead. Like, all safety limits off, because we can die anyway." Like, he's seen this fatality. Like, what am I pausing for? Like, these guys can come back tomorrow and finish the job. So let me jump on it. See, that is the taking your the force of your enemies empowering you, because your friends will have a comfortable love for you to keep you in your place, and your friends are closer to you. You're gonna let your friends in your house. So if you look at robberies by the numbers, 70% of robberies happen by people that you know. Only 30%. So that's out of 10 people, only 3 people got the heart to rob somebody they don't know. Only 3 people out of 10
wild.
got the balls to go take it from somebody they don't know. 7 out of 10 are robbing their friends or somebody they knew through a friend. There's always a comfortability in it. And that is another problem of not knowing how to use your enemies. And just from the book alone, which was one of the greatest points in the book to me, which is um, your enemies won't lie to you, where your friends may lie to you not to hurt your feelings. See, your enemies have no understanding of not hurting your feelings. They coming for your feelings. So you can get your truth. I think, like, one of the stories in the book, 2 kings were going at war, and the other king was going at the other one, like, "Ah!" And the other one stopped him, was like, "Yo, son, your breath is mad atrocious. Like, you got you got halitosis on the next level." And the king was like, "Where, my breath is bad? None of my friends told me that." He ended up making that dude his top general. He fired all of his generals, had them beheaded, and made him his top general. And they went on to conquer mad lands. And he did it because he had the balls to tell him, "Your breath stinks, son. You need to do something about that." And that, to me, that was one of the realest stories from that law. I still remember that story because it was so deep. But that's the truth. Your enemies will give you truth. Now, to put that to fighting, it's kind of like what Ian was saying. I would go along the same routes that if you sparring your friends, you're not going to get the juice. Like, you can get juice. Like me and Ian, we can spar each other and go pretty hard. But even then, there's still a line of love that's different. That if an enemy walked in there, there would be no holdback measures on my emotion and power and torque. It would be all you get. So when it comes to sparring, if you spar your friends all the time, you reach this fake plateau of false insecurity where you're like, okay, especially if you're beating them all up, especially if you beating all your friends up, you start feeling good. Like 9 of my friends come to the gym, I beat them all up. But the work you need is from that sparring partner who you don't know, and probably he don't like you. You're gonna get real good work from him because, like Ian said, he's going to come in giving you everything you need to see if what you really do works. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we moving on. Oh man, this chat is good money.
Law number 3.
This son, I'm loving this. All right, law
number 3. Conceal your intentions.
Talk about it.
Let's get it.
Go ahead. Talk
again. You know, hiding your intentions tends to be obviously necessary. I mean, people who go on and they talk endlessly about whatever's going on in their life, and you know, they just wearing everything on their sleeve. Let's look at applications, right? Like we were going on the robbery route, right? So like dudes walking around talking about how much money they're getting, all this stuff. They're making people jealous. They're breaking law number 1. You know what I mean? So that's one thing. But if you're trying to play any type of strategy game in life, or you know, telling somebody what you're going to do before you do it tends to give them a chance to preemptively change their position.
That's right.
For example, if I were to be like, hey, I'm going to throw my jab, boop, you know, you had a chance to think about the fact that I was going to throw a jab and move your freaking head offline, right? So like, that's really, you know, a simple application. I mean, this one's right to the point, right? I mean, there's a lot of places where if you openly say your intention, maybe it helps you, and that could be a reversal of the law. But you know, in general, there is great benefit to playing your cards close to your chest when it counts.
Very true. What does it mean to fighting? What would that law mean to fighting to you?
Well, like, you know, let's say I know that this guy is going to drop his left hand when he's throwing his right. You know what I mean? So, okay. So I'm waiting until he gets tired. If I just start if I tell him that I'm going to counter it, you know, I was like, oh, he drops his left hand, I'm going to knock him out. If I say that before the fight, you know, he's like, oh, I do drop my left hand. Maybe I should fix that.
Keep it up.
You know what I mean? Now, if I do conceal my intention and I'm like, yo, like Max Schmeling, right? Where he's like, I see something.
But he didn't say what
he was like, he didn't tell everybody what he saw. He just freaking went out there and threw that right here. Every time Joe Louis brought his hand back down to his waist, he said, boop, boop, bang, boop, bang. Like just eating that right hand for 15 fucking rounds. He took a beating that night. And I'll tell you what, he didn't do that shit again. But, you know, he fixed all of it. But if Max Schmeling was like, Joe Louis drops his right hand, or, you know, drops his jabbing hand, and I'm going to counter with my right.
Yeah, they would have fixed it.
Or at
least tried.
You know, Chappie would have been like, whoa, 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 whoa. Come here. Come here, Joe. Would have switched up everything.
Facts. No, that's true. Conceal your intentions to me is a very powerful one. But like you said, it's kind of to the point. But why? Why is it so to the point? I think that's the thing to break down. And I'm going to tell you why. Because intent is everything we know. It's everything. That's why you must show it and conceal it at certain times. What do I mean? I can say, I F with you. Or F you. Same stuff, but what changed? My intent. My first intent was an intent of love. My second intent was the intent to say what I think about somebody I don't like. Same words. Just like you could say, you know, I F with him or F him. It's everything we know is intent. So at certain times when you're talking to a bad thing, you know what I'm saying? She nice, she looking real nice. You ain't up on the like, yo, what's up, babe? I'm trying to smash tonight. I want to see what them buns look like. That's your intent. But what you're probably saying is, hey, what's your name? You want to go out and have a little coffee? We sit down and talk. That's what you're saying. But your intent is saying, I want to smash them cakes right now. Not now, right now. Right now, I want them cakes on deck. So intent is everything. And that's why intent must be concealed and revealed at the right time. You can't hold it all the time. But in fighting, conceal your intentions to me is the very definition of fainting. What is fainting all about? Why are we fainting? Like what are we doing this? And what's this word of fainting about? It's because we are trying to conceal our intentions. Hold on, we lost Ian, we lost you.
I'm back.
All
I'm
right,
back, bitches.
there we go. Is that fainting is, conceal your intentions is the very definition of why you must faint. Everything. The quarterback faint, the pump faint, everything has pretty much has a feint. I think golf may be the only thing that doesn't have a feint. I've never seen a golfer like front like he was gonna hit the ball, and then I don't think there's no feinting in golf. I think golf may be the one place that there's just no feinting. But conceal your intentions is the very definition of why you feint. You fake the jab and then throw the right hand because you're giving him the jab, but your true intent is to slam that right hand down his throat.
Damn right.
That's right. Oh man, we cooking. All right. Oh, this one is my
Try to
favorite.
hit one more.
Law number 4 is one of my favorites. I think I live my life like this. All right, law number 4. Always say less than necessary. Talk about it, Ian. What you got on this one? And then we'll end on this one right here because I know you got to make moves.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to roll. But always say less than necessary. Well, I'm gonna use sexual reference here, right? Most chicks, when you running up on them, they pretty much know whether they're gonna fuck you or not.
That's a fact.
You know what I mean? Or whether they would, you know. And chances are, if you say just enough, it'll work. But if you start overselling this shit, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna be like, yo, I was always gonna fuck you. I don't care. Like, why are you showing me this and this? Like, this dude's insecure. So a lot of times when people are oversharing, it's out of insecurity.
Oh, most times, yes.
So it's like, that's sort of where I think this one stems from. But then that can have a lot of bad effects in scenarios of like war, right? Like if it was a fight or anything like that, like, you talking too much, this motherfucker shoot you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, all right, you know what I mean? This motherfucker knows how to fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck that shit. You know what I mean? Like, if you're in a street fight and like you're like, like, I'm a professional boxer. Like, you don't want to fuck with me, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, dude's like, word, he is a professional boxer. You know what I'm saying? Like, hold on. So like, exactly. So. That's the bottom line here in fighting application.
What would that mean to fighting to you? What would that mean to fighting? Like, how would that law apply to actual fighting, like what you just said? Or
okay, perfect. So let's talk about it if like a fight is a conversation, a physical conversation. So what I'm going to say is with my body. So if I'm going to say less, that means I'm not going to move more than necessary. I'm going to be more economical with my movements so that I can stay closer to where the pressure needs to be, right? I want to turn my spine onto, your flank and then throw bombs, right? So like if I'm trying to angle my spine to your flank, anything that I do that deviates from that, that's not necessary, is wasted movement. So by definition, I want to be as economical as possible and do as little as necessary, essentially, to negate that pressure and get to the right spot.
Makes a whole lot of sense. I get say less than necessary for what it is, which is, to me, that's a training thing. This law here is a training law, meaning very few people have this mastered because the tongue is one of the hardest muscles to control. Everybody wants to tell their story, good or bad. Yeah, my pops was a dope fiend. My mama used to run numbers. I used to be on the block. Everybody wants to tell their story. The problem is, by telling your story, you usually reveal a lot of things about you that people can use against you. So to me, this law is something that is like a reason to train your tongue. Like we train our biceps, we do push-ups, train our mental, we read books, we spar. But there's another training because there's another muscle over here that needs to be trained, which is what you say, because by way of talking, you can reveal yourself. Go ahead. You want to say something?
I gotta roll. Love
Okay.
you to death.
Love you to death.
I'll see you
And
soon.
on that note, we will be back, people. Salute.
All right, bro.